Time once again to review the latest U.S. market cap style and spider sector results from Zacks latest quarterly CIO surveys outlook for the new year. And for that, we consult with our chief equity strategist and economist, John Blank, for CIO responses to 6 questions and his reaction to them. John, first, large cap stocks. How do they feel about value versus growth?
Value over growth, Terry. First time we've seen that in many years, but they actually are calling the rotation from the tech growth stocks to the value stocks next year. So I would put that firmly in mind out there.
And the mid caps, value or growth?
Growth for the mid caps, and the same is going to be true for the small caps. Across the board, Terry, the CIOs feel like people are going to start paying attention to valuations, basically.
Which sectors are expected to be the outperformers?
Terry, I think it's going to be still info tech to some degree, but also financials and perhaps utilities as well because of this AI trade. So that was what they were talking about.
Do these findings surprise you at all?
Not at all, Terry. I think it's just a continuation trade with some rotation built in over the last 2-3 years that we've seen. And in general, it's always hard to change a theme or change a direction, and in these types of surveys and get it right. That we should all take it with a grain of salt anyways.
Speaking of themes, what are the core themes that should be taken away from the survey?
Well, Terry, I think the core situation we face is valuations of stocks have gotten out of control over the last 2-3 years. And that we are historically high values of stocks, which means 2 things. One is people who own those stocks are going to lock in profits and get out of them and cause them to fall for that reason. And the other is people are going to park money back in the stock market in areas where they think there's value, which is lower price stocks. And not really cheap stocks, but lower price stocks.
How much of the outlook do you expect to be earnings driven?
I think a lot of it will be, Terry, but there's always the case when shares have run so far ahead that they're no longer pricing the earnings that come in and they fall when earnings get good. So, but beneath it all, when you have strong earnings, you have a floor that's higher and rising over time, and that should be supportive to those of us who have 401k type investments.
Meantime, a roller coaster 2025 in the stock market is going to be coming to a close shortly. What do you expect to set the tone for the next few weeks here?
Terry, I think it'll be the Federal Reserve meeting on the 9th and 10th of December that will decide everything that remains for this market, and the absence of a rate cut will be only confirmation of what a lot of people think, which is that the Fed's going to hold and pause for a couple of months.
You recently picked the 3 biggest by market cap Zacks number 1 ranked stocks to watch, including ASML Holding, Morgan Stanley, and Micron.
Yeah, so let's talk ASML Holdings. This is a really big stock in the Netherlands that does electronic lithography, basically puts images onto chips that is incredibly critical to every part of the world. So if you're going to be in the AI trade, you're going to want to be in ASML. And it's a really big stock in Europe, trades dramatically across the world, and it's actually, again, richly priced now because everyone's trading it, but you should know about it.
And Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley is, becoming one of the more respected names on Wall Street, and the stock has been doing extremely well. And there's no reason, having talked about outperforms and financials, that you shouldn't own a piece of Morgan Stanley.
Micron.
Well, this stock is probably Exhibit A in the overpriced trade, Terry. Micron is always doing cycles, and it has been just an enormous run here this year on this AI trade. And this is exactly what we're talking about in terms of people taking profits. People are going to be selling Micron. I would not be a buyer of Micron, even though we have a strong Zacks rank, because it is picking up that AI trade and the fundamentals. But all priced in and then some, Terry, I'd be a seller of Micron.
Our chief equity strategist and economist, John Blank, on the latest CIO survey. With John, I'm Terry Ruffalo.
This material is being provided for informational purposes only, and nothing herein constitutes investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. Do not act or rely upon the information and advice given in this podcast without seeking the services of competent and professional legal, tax, or accounting counsel. Publication and distribution of this podcast is not intended to create, and the information contained herein does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. No recommendation or advice is being given as to whether any investment or strategy is suitable for a particular investor. It should not be assumed that any investments in securities, companies, sectors, or markets identified and described were or will be profitable. All information is current as of the date herein and is subject to change without notice. Any views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Zacks Investment Research as a whole.